Boom. Good evening, good afternoon, good day to you, wherever you may be, wherever you may be, and whatever you may be doing at this time. I am Samuel Davis III, and I am host of Uplifting Our Community, powered by Bridge Visions. So today is another beautiful day in Southern California. As you can see, I'm here in the what we call Davis South, and I was going through a couple things, taking some notes before I started this podcast today, and I was trying to get a concept and trying to get a thought process and an idea of what it is and who it is that I confer to when I whenever I need to get some type of guidance. Who or what is it that I confer to when I'm looking to get some type of spirit, um, inspiration type of a thing? And I say this because I'm starting it like this because I'm the question I'm really asking is who here on earth do you refer to? Now we can sit back there. A lot of people say, "Oh, I pray to God. I do it all the time. I pray to God. I always pray to God because God is who gets me where I want to go." But the question is, who and what is it? Who on earth is it that you call upon when you're looking for some spirit, when you're looking for some inspiration, when you're looking to get uplifted? I was just curious, who and what is it that you speak to? Some people, their go-to is money. Some people it's just group speak, groups of people, gangs. Some people it's going to work and getting their inspiration when they want to get inspired and when they want to get uplifted. They go into work and they say, "Hey, I'm gonna get around my guys and I can talk and I can get my thoughts going on because only you guys at work know who I am and know what kind of person I am." So that was my question. My question today was, who do you confer to? Not necessarily on the spiritual side, but who do you confer to? Is it your wife? Is it that guy at work that can only understands me better than anybody else in this world? Anybody else. I can't even go home to my wife, but my boy at work, oh, he definitely gets me. He understands where I come from because we kind of come from the same thing. So that was my thought process today. Who is it do you confer to? Who do you respect with your stuff? So I got a couple of guys in their group that I do. Dave is definitely one person that I go to. My wife and I both we have been conferring with Dave and Karina for a few years, and it's just been it's just been a very what I would at least consider it a mutual exchange. Whenever we have that thought process, we go over there, we have some zucchini bread, we talk in the mountains, and it's just a beautiful time for us. And it's been a great relief for me to do that. Robin, I talked with him plenty of times. We went through a course years ago together, and we've been talking for the longest. It's always somebody that I can always convert to. Gordon, Gordon is a different type of an egg for me. Now, Gordon, I have been. We have great conversations. We have discussed Baha'i faith. We've discussed many things too. I have not necessarily leaned on Gordon in a certain way. My relationship with Gordon has been more of a good friend, and we could talk about anything. And I haven't necessarily dumped on him, if I can put it that way. So with the being that today it's only looks like I got a friend that just came in here. I'm going to bring in who into the stage here is Gordon. And I hope that you have heard what things were going and how everything was running here. I'm just trying a whole new format today. I just decided to start it at 3 and just run, and whoever comes in is going to come in and just go from there and go with my topic. So I hope that you caught kind of where my topic was all about. It was about who you confer to, who is this person that you not necessarily spiritually or God wise. And I say that because who on earth do you confer to? If I sit back there and the average person is going to sit back there and always going to go, "Oh, I pray to God every night. Oh, I pray to God when I get up in the morning. I pray to God when I almost got in an accident. I was praying to God." People always say that, but who do you confer to? when it comes to, I don't know, who do you confer to? Somebody that you actually feel comfortable enough that you, when you want to open up, you can do that. I also want to add that I look at sometimes when I do some of these podcasts that we've been doing, I look at that as a way for a release for me. When I have some of these conversations, some of the thoughts that I come across my mind, I'm saying to myself, you know what, this is actually a release. This is actually this is actually therapeutic for me. So that's why I brought this subject up, being that today is Thursday and therapeutic Thursdays, I guess I'll call it.
Nice.
But jump in.
Yeah. You know what? I did hear what you said. I want to say I heard probably most of it, hopefully. And I want to say that there's a number of people that I reach out to, and I think many times it'll depend on what it is, what challenge that I have, the type of challenge that I have. And so, one of the people that I've reached out to for as long as I can remember is my mom. Like my mom gets me. Like I can talk to her. I can have conversations with her. We've had, really good conversations. Forever and ever. My wife is somebody that basically knows anything and everything about me, and I can have a conversation with her and share things and bounce ideas off of her and get some advice and things like that. And then I have a financial advisor that's also kind of like just a mentor in general, because he has helped me with so many things, even outside of finance, just personal growth and inward looking and things like that. And so he's been a good buddy of mine for about 10 years now. Um, and so it kind of depends. And then sometimes I need just some me time. Sometimes I'll go hiking. We got Calavera Hills up here by my house, and it's like a 10-minute walk away, and then I can go hiking. I can be in nature, right? And I can breathe some
Mm.
air and just relax a little bit and things like that. My dad is somebody that I can go to, on certain things, and sometimes I need to just go for a cruise in my car and just I go up and down Coast Highway on the coast and smell the ocean air, and sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's music. Many times it's just let me. I have playlists on my phone that oftentimes have to do with the mood that I'm in, and so there's lots of ways that I can say, okay, I'm a little off. I need to reset, rebalance, and come back and not let my emotions get the best of me.
You know what? I really love what you said. You actually went through nature, music, emotion. Those all of those things are important because some people don't even look at those as escapes. Some people don't look at it. They realize that they do it, but they don't realize that it's actually whenever I play the Bee Gees, I get a little frustrated, or whenever I play Patti LaBelle, I get inspired. There's certain things that when I'm angry, I want to put a little Tupac on.
Mm,
There are certain
mm,
people that don't even realize that playing music throughout your house in the background actually stimulates you in a certain way. I have, as I've been telling you, we've been on construction on the house for these last months, and they've been in our rooms. They've been looking at speakers now. I got zones in my house now, where when I want to play some music, I got a certain zone to play down the hallway, play in the bathroom, play in our front area. Certain things. It's really, really cool. And I love my wife and I. We love lo-fi music, so
mm.
we always got some lo-fi music going on. If it's not on TV, now we're setting it up. We're learning how to set it up throughout the house, and it sets the tone for you throughout the day, and you get kind of hearing that little beat. Don't really put too much vocals because it throws you off. When you start hearing vocals, I start want to sing with it. So just
Yeah.
getting those little beats going, you know, got that little beat going. It's nice little coastal little cruise chill song. Oh, love it, absolutely love it. And another thing that you mentioned that is a big thing that I realized within myself, I am what's known as an ambivert.
Mm,
I am I can be I like being alone. I like getting energy from people, and I just sometimes I like a mix of both of them. They used to be the what is it? They got Ambivert. What is it? Ambivert is a mixture of two of them. There's all the verts. I forgot what the
Yeah,
verts were.
introvert and extrovert.
There you go.
Yeah.
Introvert.
Yeah.
You mentioned before a couple of weeks ago about being an introvert, and man, I not. The only reason why I said ambivert is because there are times that I really need just to be alone. I
Yeah.
really need to be alone, and I just can't deal with it. But then there's other people that I know who they get their energy from being around people. And
Yeah.
I can be exactly like that. When I want to get that energy up, there's a certain time. But when I want to be alone, I want to be alone. So I learned about an ambivert because just like you mentioned it, and the time when you mentioned, it, I was like, boy, Gordon, he really feels that he really needs that alone downtime to chill out.
Yeah.
It's very important, very important.
It really is, because I want to be a little more proactive with like my mood and my productivity, because my productivity, there's a direct relationship between my mood and how productive I can be. If I'm starting the day, I know I want to do this, I want to do that, and I got to get this done, got to get that done, and my mood can sometimes affect it. And so if I'm not conscious of that, and I'm not, being proactive about being aware of that, then yeah, it can have an effect. And I like how you said that a lot of people don't know the effect that music has on them, because that's something that I've been paying attention to in the last few years. That there really are certain songs that if I need a little pick me up, there's this song that I got to play, or that number of songs. If I just another thing is like self talk. Like when I'm
Mhm.
having some me time, and I'm in my own head and I'm talking to myself, um, am I being a good friend to myself? Am I uplifting myself? Am I putting myself down? Am I being, very judgmental, or very critical of myself? And I have to be conscious of that. Get also, I have to be very aware of that. And so I want to be more uplifting, more have more grace for myself, more tolerance, more compassion for myself, because I'm growing. I want to become a certain version of myself, but I am not there yet, and there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm on my way. And so being aware that is so powerful, and that self-talk, and the reason why I brought up self-talk in music is because when we listen to music, we're usually many times singing along with the songs, right? And if the song is
Mhm.
saying stuff that's negative, your subconscious can, I don't know, I'm not a neurologist or whatever. I don't know what the profession is, but I've read and I've listened to a lot of information that your subconscious will take it as truth regardless of what you're saying, whether you truly believe it or not. And so if you're
Mhm.
saying, like the normal stuff, like I'm good, I'm great, I'm decent, I'm this, all those affirmations. If you're saying those, your subconscious is taking it in, and making it so, even if it takes time. So if you're listening to music, and that music is negative music, maybe our subconscious will take that in and process that and say, oh, this person is very angry, or this person is this, or this person is that. And so I've actually been putting together a playlist of uplifting music, that when I do recite it, I'm actually saying good things to myself. And so
Mhm.
that connection between the music, its effect, the self talk, all of that stuff is just something that I've been paying attention to.
Dude, let's call it out for what it is. Real talk, man. Your spirit man, he listens to you. That dude, that little dude inside of your head, when you sit back there, you get that little bit of doubt. That's the thing that keeps you going and can stop you.
Yeah.
That's the exact that little dude, that little voice. I think you know so that we mentioned. I don't know if you were here when they mentioned about going to Donkey Island.
Yeah.
You know, when you get stubborn minded and you don't
Jiminy
listen,
Cricket.
yeah, you don't listen. You don't listen. Those things are important. That's spirit, man. I
Yeah.
mean, really, that's the essence of why I know Benji and I, we wanted to start talking about having this type of a podcast because we wanted spaces where you can have these type of conversations because these things are important. People don't discuss spirit, man, what it does to you, how it talks to you, inner talk, inner voices. man, I get mad at somebody every time I walk out the door, but I don't let it get to me because I gotta keep that spirit man in check.
Yeah.
Somebody cuts me off in the middle of the road while I'm driving here today, and now I gotta sit back and say to myself, do I chase this guy down so I can look at him while I'm passing him, or do I just
That's right.
let it go?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's real important.
Something that I've been saying to myself, and as well as myself to others, people that are close to me, is when somebody cuts me off on the road or on the freeway or whatever, I will just tell myself, and it's just nonsense, but I'll say it. It's like that person is on their way to go save somebody's life, and my ego can get in the way, my pride can get in the way, and I could maybe, I'm not super aggressive or violent, but my ego and my pride can get in the way, or I can just say they're about to go save somebody's life. I just got to let it go and keep going, because even if I do go and I drive past them or whatever it is, after all that's said and done, I'll never see them again for the rest of my life. So
Mm,
what's the point of
yeah.
getting stuck on something and letting it affect your mood? And then even beyond you going to somewhere else and sharing that negative energy with somebody else, and it's not worth it. So I'm like, my almost like an ambulance. Ambulances are on their way to save somebody's life, and so I'm like, oh, that, whatever it is, that Ultima is on their way to save somebody's life. So it is what it is.
It's good that you mentioned like that because as I always bring out that I worked in the prison system. I worked and I lived daily for people who make those mistakes. They allow that moment of frustration to take over, to go
Mhm.
rob a bank, to go shoot somebody, to go deal drugs or do whatever. They allow that brief moment where they could have had that moment of clarity, and they just overruled it and said, I'm going to do this instead of what my spirit is telling me. My spirit is telling me I shouldn't be doing this. My spirit is saying I shouldn't do this. But you
Mhm.
know what? I did it 15 times before, so 16 times ain't gonna hurt, or
Mhm.
whatever it is. It's
Mhm.
just that one time, and then once your life is caught and it's changed. And you may have had the best intentions, you may have had, but I've worked with those individuals, male and female alike, and it's one of those things that always makes me take that extra moment to say, you know what, it's
Mhm.
not worth it. It's
Yeah.
not worth it. It's not worth it because when you get your freedoms taken away from like in a prison system or county jail or
Mhm.
just being arrested, people just putting handcuffs on you. There are people psychologically that snap the moment they get handcuffs put on them. The
Mhm.
moment that they get inside a cell and you lock that door on them and you hear that clicking sound, man, they never forget that sound. Just like some people when you hear a shotgun rack, it's one of those sounds that you never forget. It's
Mhm.
important. It's important, and I countless thousands upon thousands of men and women. When you lock that cell, I've seen them I seen them break. They come in tough. They come in making all kinds of noise, but the moment you put them in that cell and you close them up, it's a
Yeah.
wrap, man. It's a
Doesn't
wrap.
matter how tough and how, whatever they are, that cell is still what, 6 by 9 or whatever it is. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter at that point. And I think you said something that just stood out to me, is that it only takes a couple of seconds to pause. I
Yeah.
mean, literally 2 or 3 seconds to just let something go, because if you do get caught up in the moment, you never know where you might end up. You never know. Hospital, jail, the morgue, or whatever. You never know where you might end up. And you know, you have family, you have Kelly, you have children. I have my wife, I have my 4 boys, and for me to get caught up in some little thing like that, and then it affect all the people around me, it's not worth it at all. You
That responsibility. It's a big responsibility. It's that point in time when that's what separates men from boys. That's what
right?
it really is. That's the part because sometimes I can sit back there and I can slap this dude real quick and check him, let him know that I'm not no punk. Or I
Mm.
can sit back there and I can make this a teachable moment.
Mm.
In particular,
Mhm.
more so from them, because for me, I already know what can happen if I allow certain things to happen. I've seen what happens when you allow that to take over. That's why I asked today. It was about who do you respect and who do you confer to? Because generally, for the most part, when you look at those individuals or that individual, um, you think about how they would act.
Mm.
Because for the most part, if I hang around a bunch of guys who are quick with it and just ready to hit the streets and do all kinds of stuff, man, their quick response to anything is, man, slap that dude, man. Check that fool. You know. Whereas the other people that I do hang around with, they're more spiritually based. They got a little bit more of an even keel about them. They're kind of like, okay, you know what? Hey, before you go over there, Sam, you know that guy carries a gun, don't you? Hey, you
Mm.
know that guy that you know that area is pretty bad. I'll get those kind of words of of affirmation that I'm supposed to be headed on the right path versus
Mm.
somebody go tells me to go check that fool. So
Mm.
it can be something, and you also have to be ready for it. It takes a lot of experience because lots of times there are a lot of signals that come all day long that tell me I need to do this or do that, and you know what? I didn't follow it until just 3 days ago.
Mm.
3 days ago, I decided, you know what? I want to start a podcast 3 days ago.
Mm.
Whereas we've been doing it for I don't know how long. These things, when it finally clicks for you, it clicks for you. And it's big
Yeah.
and it's pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what you said about, you're the people that you surround yourself with, because regardless of whether we pay attention to that or not, they have a big effect on what our normal is. And if it's normal to be in a situation where you feel like maybe you were disrespected and to quickly react in a way to check somebody else, that's the normal. And if you surround yourself with people that like what I was thinking, what you were saying is that people just know themselves, right? If you hang around and you surround yourself with people that just know themselves, and they know that if somebody cut them off on the highway, it doesn't have an effect on who they are. If somebody maybe looked at them a little wrong, it has no effect on who they are, right? If somebody even might have even said something, it doesn't affect who they are. The people don't have power over us unless we give them the power over us. And so I think that's very, like I often think about the person that I am is highly influenced by the people that I surround myself with, the information that I feed my mind, the audio that I listen to, uh,
Mm,
consumption of information from the internet, things like that, and my self talk, and keeping my word to myself and things like that. And so the people that you hang around with it's a big part of that. And if
yeah,
you're active about who you surround yourself with, then it's likely that you will react the same way that those people react to those kinds of situations. And it's a big influence, and I don't know that many people fully understand that.
yeah. When I was younger, I used to feel that I was Charlie Brown, and I think I've mentioned this before. I used to always feel like if anything was going to be wrong, anything was going to happen wrong. If anything was going to happen wrong, it was going to happen to me. And I used to always walk around beating myself up, and I used to try to figure out how do I get out of that. And it was probably the last few years of my life that I actually finally pulled it together. And I started learning that I need to start it immediately. When starting to cross my mind,
Mhm.
immediately I stop it. Like I'm driving in a car and all of a sudden some fleeting thought comes across my mind. You know what? Hey, man, if you keep on driving like this, man, you might wreck. You know. And I say, no, I'm not going to wreck. Let me slow myself down. I am not going to. I stop it immediately because it starts right here in the middle. Starts right here, and if I let it go, it builds up to a certain crescendo, and then all of a sudden I keep on thinking, you know what? You're right. If I do keep on driving fast, I'll get there sooner. But if I don't do this, and I'll do this, and my mind starts going through the cycle while I'm moving faster, trying to get there faster, trying to get around this car because he's slowing else, and it just cycles and cycles and cycles over and over and over. And it's a tough thing. It is
Yeah,
a tough thing to do.
yeah,
To sit back
yeah.
there. So that's my question I want to ask you. And before I got Dave in here, I'm going to bring Dave in just a moment. Um, how do you, Gordon? How do you break from being self-critical? As I mentioned just a minute ago,
Mm.
I stopped right here for me. boom, I got to knock it right out. But
Mhm.
how do you go about? And I'm going to bring Dave in as well too. But matter of fact, I'm going to ask Dave that question when when you start having some self negative thought thoughts be running to your head, Dave. How do you go about breaking yourself into into breaking into that mode? What do you do?
Uh, you need an answer right now, or is that the question we're going to talk about later?
That's the question right now.
Oh, right now. Okay. The way I do it, I've been thinking about this. That's a very good question, too. I've been thinking about this question mainly about fear and a bunch of other things that cause us to fall off track. I've been maintaining my center. There's three positions a human can have. And if you want to put it into words, it's negative, positive, and neutral. The neutral part is where you're in that heart center that your religion teaches you, your spirituality, whatever you got, teaches you. That's that grace part where nothing phases you. You can see reality, you can see your story, and you can see others. When I start feeling any kind of stress, anything that's going to knock me out of that center, I stop and I go, what am I holding on to? Because it's usually me holding on to something that I don't want, that I want to be true that maybe isn't, or something's coming at me and it's irritating the snot out of me and I just don't want to deal with it right now. That's what I call bumper cars. So the way I deal with it is I've learned to check myself. When as soon as I feel any kind of stress, boom, I stop it and I name it. I know where the source is. I put it on the shelf and I go back to what I was doing until I choose to go back and deal with it.
Mm, mm. So is that like a next door neighbor that gets you upset? How does
Yeah.
that is that how you put it? Like in that
Yeah.
category? I'm gonna replace it. I don't want to deal with you right now. I'll come to you later on when I can deal with it. Type of thing. Is that the
Well, if it's
mentality?
in your face and you got to deal with, what I usually do is I ask a question. I go, so tell me what's irritating you. If it's my neighbor, I go, tell me, outline to me what's really bothering you. And then I shut up and they'll go through it. And usually they go through it two or three times to make sure you got it. And then at some point they run out of steam and they quit doing it. And then my next question is, okay, is that all that's bugging you? And then usually they'll say yes or no, or they'll start up the cycle and tell me the same thing again two or three times. And then after they've got it out of their system, I evaluate to myself, what do they want to hear and what do I feel? And if what they want to hear and what I want to feel are two different things, then it depends. I play it by ear. If there's someone that's really irritating me and they have no commerce in my life, in other words, no emotional attachment, just some stranger, I will politely extract myself from them, say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. That was not my intention. I won't apologize for the action or what I said because I'm of the firm opinion that you do everything in your life on purpose. You don't do it, even your vices. You do them on purpose, eyes wide open. You make no excuses. Same
Mm,
thing when you're talking to someone in a discussion, especially this day and age with politics and religion being so, they've been cordoned off into camps, and it doesn't have to be that way. And to me, I'm
mm,
not in anybody's camp. I'm that outlier that's walking through town. I'm just passing through, folks. I'm the trader. I'm the musician that's in the road show. Loved your daughter, Mister, but I gotta go. See you later. But I try to make it real. I try to be kind and compassionate. My whole motivation for talking to people usually is compassion and understanding. I want to understand what you meant. I want to learn something. Everything for me is about learning something new. I want to learn from everybody I talk to. Even children are amazingly uh, good at that. They can
mm.
teach you stuff you forgot, and that's important. Anyway, that's how I deal with it. I just make sure it's compassionate, and I think about it, and I don't let people knock me off my center. I just don't.
Well, let me back you up to how we kind of started this thing off, Dave. Since you weren't here at the beginning, the question that I had asked was, who do you confer to? Like I had mentioned your name in here because I looked at individuals that I use for I use that's a good word to say it. Individuals that I conferred with when it comes to speaking on certain things. I mentioned that I mentioned how there are times when I go Kelly and I we go up to your place when we want to kind of get a spiritual center on certain things. We got
Well, I
we got
appreciate
thoughts,
that.
we got things on mind that we have. on mine. So what we do is say, hey, let's go talk to Dave about it. You know, if there's another thing, there was a speech I did in Toastmasters on who I refer to as a black man. Who do I who do I speak to when I'm going to speak on black issues? And the
Fair
only person
question.
I could think of was Louis Farrakhan, who was someone that out of all the people that I can think
Hmm.
of has been consistent. He may not be liked, but he has been consistently helping men of color, black men, put them on a perfect path trajectory for success. And I couldn't think of it. So that's kind of where I'm at with this thing. And I was want to ask because I had put you as one of those individuals, Dave. Um, who do you confer to when it comes time to, you know, you could even put Karina on there as well as you want, but who do you confer to when it comes to
You mean
I need to
my
figure
you
things
mean
out?
my influences? You talking about my influences?
You can say your influences because I didn't want to say God because most people say, "Oh, I pray to Jesus Christ every day and I'd make my
No, no,
50
no.
Hail
To
Marys."
me, to me, my view of mankind and psychology in this plane is so different than most people that I don't go into detail on it because it's too much for me to explain. And most people look at me like I'm strange at the end. And I just don't really want to make enemies or I don't want to alienate people because actually, in the end, we're all saying the same thing. So, who I confer with generally, I go into nature. I'll walk out into nature and I'll go someplace wild where there's no trash, no human footprints, and large animals that can hurt me, and I'll stay there for a while because that's how I know if it's my time to die, and that's how I get rid of all the garbage I'm holding inside of me, and I'm not going to be disturbed because to me you can't really solve your problems when you're in the middle of the problem. You have to remove yourself from it. So I've been doing that my whole life. So I confer with nature. I would have to say that's been my teacher. And also secondarily, all the great writers I'm reading all the time of people who have uh, incredible intellect, and I read all the faiths. I've read the three faiths of the book. You know, the Jewish, the Christians, and the Muslims. I haven't read much in the Baha'i, but I agree with totally with their principles that I've read so far. I even agree with Jehovah's Witness on some things. I even agree with Mormons on some things, evangelicals on some things. I don't really have a problem. I think where we all get hung up is people want things to be literal, and to me everything is symbolic, and that's where the divide is. I can see your point of view perfectly, but I can't believe in your, it's a blue shirt. No, it's to me it's a shirt. I don't care if it's blue, green, or orange, but most people, when you're in a religion or politics, you've got to have that's a blue shirt because that's what it says right here in the book. And you know what I'm saying? They make it too exact. You
Right.
don't have to be exact. You have to be accurate, and it has to freaking work. And for what's always worked for me is let me fall down and scrape my own knees, and then let me stand up and wipe off the blood and the mud and figure out what has to happen to make it correct. And
Mm.
that's so I confer with nature. I confer with wiser minds that are my own from many faiths, Buddhists. I don't care where the wisdom comes from because I always absorb it, like I said, symbolically. I don't need to have your deities. I don't need to have your prophets. I just want to know what's the message, and all messages, when taken in symbolically, are true if they're solid, if they're life sustaining.
There you go, Dave. Let me tell you something. What you said, Gordon had just jumped up and early had said that earlier, and I'm going to let Gordon kind of finish up on that part because that was one of the things he wrote down. For him, being in nature and music, that
Ah,
those offered him, and just being as an introvert, being in solace. Those things give him a center that other people don't. That's where other people get their energy. That's where he gets his energy from. I can go either way depending on my mood, how I feel. But go ahead, Gordon. Kind of go ahead and expound on that a little bit.
there are many ways to kneel and kiss the earth.
There you go. Yeah, right. And it deserves all the kissing. It doesn't get enough kissing. It does not get enough kissing. Yeah, I'd said earlier about being in nature, and part of it is the nature, and part of it is being alone, being in my own, being able to kind of what Dave said is that there's this, and I don't know the exact quote, but there's this quote that says that you can't solve the problem if you're still in the mind state that created the problem. And so
Exactly.
for me to, if I need to, solve something, that I need to kind of remove myself from it, like Dave said. And so being in nature, I go for hikes and things like that, really help to just get away from everything, all that stuff that I'm allowing affect me. Because I don't just say stuff affects me; I say I allow it affect me.
That's true.
I have to own up that I'm allowing, something to affect me, and usually it has to do with ego or pride or something like that, and those are my shortcomings.
Hmm.
And so that allows me to step away, be able to look at it from a different perspective. There's this term that I use because I was actually researching this whole idea that we're talking about right now, maybe a year ago, and it's called metacognition. And
Yeah.
it basically means being self-aware, being able to be aware of your own thought process and things like that.
Yeah. I'm aware of
And
that concept.
yeah, and so it's just to be able for me to be able to do that better, I guess, is just to be, in a quiet place. And I love the elements. Maybe if there's a stream or the beach with the waves and the air and the dirt and the soil, and being maybe like I was telling Sam that we have a little hiking trail up here by where I live called Calavera Hills, and
Yeah.
we'll go up there and I'll hang out up there, and I'll try to take a different, because there's so many little trails. You can take a different one each time, and go days without going on the same trail. And so it allows me to like get a little perspective and say, you know what, you were letting ego get the best of you. You were letting pride get the best. Check that and get rid of it. And kind of like what Sam said is like, Sam, if I understood you correctly, you'll notice it and you'll check it right in the moment. You say, nope, that's I'm not allowing that to happen. I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to, you know, even if it's just words, give myself affirmations and say things like, "You are not that person. That is not how you react to that. You react this way. You show more compassion, more tolerance, more whatever it is. Grace for others, but also for yourself. So sometimes I will even get in my own head where I'm actually kind of chastising myself, and I have to check that too. I have to be more uplifting, and so that being in nature, and then also music helps me do that as well. Just that just creates an environment where I feel like I can do that a little bit better, and then move on, because recovery is so important to be able to deal with something and
Yeah.
move on and keep going.
Right. Accomplishing. How do you feel about it, Sam? You haven't answered the question.
Well, actually, I did at the beginning. I did. I
Oh.
kind of went in detail, but it's always a big thing to me as going back and listening to what Gordon was saying. You know, um, I have to knock it out. I have to knock it out quick. If there's something that hits my mind, like let's just say I just say an evil thought. You know, if I don't knock that evil thought out, it festers because I didn't
Uh-huh.
stop it. I didn't
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
you know what, man, I had to get him to slap that dude. And then I just no, I could slap him, man, but then I couldn't. But then this would happen. But if I didn't do it, I bet you, man, if I had to slap him, then I could probably take the other two guys as well too. So maybe and it just festers and festers, and now instead of slapping one guy, I got to fight three guys just to get out to the car. And I'm thinking about, well, what I got to do if I get to the car, and I got to drive out real quick. So it just goes into a big story,
Mm.
and it sounds crazy until you listen to a bunch of people that talk like that
Mm.
and who really believe that when they start talking things, they're revving themselves up. That I'm short on cash. I need to get me some money right now. I can just slap the dude in the back of his head and go grab that backpack off him. Look at that backpack, man. Look at him. He's slipping. That guy here. Look at man. He's slipping. Man. And they're acting on it. And it's like that guy from that moment has sat back there and talked himself up to going out and doing something. I've been around those type of individuals, and sometimes it's almost like, my God, it's like we mentioned earlier, Gordon, about who you hang around with. If you hang around certain individuals and a bunch of them don't think nothing about stealing, after a while you won't think nothing about stealing because hey, there's a bowl of candy up here at the front cashier. It says 25 cents. And I don't even have to pay 25 cents. I just grab a whole handful of it. It's nothing. That's just them trying to get over on the system. Or whatever. You just start making stuff up, and it's those individuals that you hang
Yeah.
around with that really make a difference. You just got to be strong enough to pull away or get caught up in riding Donkey Island, like you mentioned before. And it's easy to get there. So easy to get there. So easy
Oh
to get
yeah,
there.
the smooth slip right on in.
It's funny when you said that last time because I I had never seen Pinocchio until the end, up until like a couple months ago. So I wouldn't have if you had said that 2 months ago, I wouldn't have understood the reference.
Yeah, well, I saw the original Pinocchio with Disney, and
Yeah.
it's stuck in my head as a little guy. I went
Mm.
Donkey Island. You know what I said? I want to go there,
You're on your way.
and I
Oh
did. Oh
man.
boy,
That's a powerful movie. I seriously, I
Yeah.
never saw it. Like I've seen pieces of it, but I've never seen the whole thing until a couple months ago. Literally, it's
Mhm.
crazy.
well, Disney and all those early cartoons were all morality plays.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why some of those films aren't even in circulation anymore. Like
Yeah.
what's that? Songs of the South, the Zippity Doo Dah, that guy singing that song.
Hmm.
Certain movies they just when you look at. I enjoy film noir. I really do
Yeah, me
because
too.
those movies that when they produce, those producers wrote the things that they saw and they felt at that time. And them
Yeah,
20s and
exactly.
30s,
It was
boy,
of
they
its
were some
time.
misogynistic, woman slapping
Oh,
guys, man. I mean,
yeah,
man,
totally.
the tough guy gangster, it was a serious thing. And that was societal too.
Oh
It's
yeah,
one of those things, it was societal and it was just a reflection of the times. Because some of those films, you look at them now, you're like, oh my goodness, man. Man, Jimmy Cagney, man, he used to kick ass, but dude, I mean,
yeah. Woo!
he was a gangster. He was rough, and it was reflective of those producers of the movies of those times.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to go back to those times at all.
Oh
And I
hell
mean,
no.
there are
But see,
some
that's
people
our
say these
history.
times are worse.
That's our
Yeah.
collective history. And here's the thing: right now, we've got. I mean, the world is being asked to choose right now because we're coming to the end of several cycles. I don't know if you're familiar with any of the Hindu stuff, but there's a cycle called the Kali Yuga. It's 25,000 years long. And that's coming to a cycle, an ending right now. We're starting a whole new 25,000 year period. Also, if you look at the way, if you look at astrology and some of that stuff, all the calendars that all these different indigenous people put together, right now, everything's lining up exactly like for in the heavens, like when the Civil War broke out.
Oh, whoa,
Yeah, so
wow.
if you look at all the seers and all the indigenous tribes and all what's going on in the world, there's a lot of wisdom in different cultures, and I like to go through all cultures because they all have their own wisdom from their part of the world, their little piece of dirt floating on this planet, and every single one of them are saying, if you look at it like I said symbolically, everybody's talking about the same thing. Right now we've got the old order, which is strongman, patriarchal, authoritarian, runs the tribe. Everything comes from the top down, and women are second class. And that's been around for 10,000 years. That started with totalitarian agriculture about 10,000 years ago. Now what's happening is we're going full circle. And so we're at a crossroads now with technology. I'm hopeful that with the technology the way it is right now, people, the great unwashed, which I include myself in, not the leaders and shakers and the ones that are the privileged class, because I never was. I might be a white boy, but I was never in the privileged class. My dad always lived in the brown and black neighborhoods, and I was getting my ass kicked because I was the minority white guy. So you guys don't give me no shit about that. But what I see is happening right now is people are being forced to choose. You got to go, and technology is helping us choose because people can educate themselves now. You can educate yourself. You don't need a higher education from an institution. You don't need anybody's approval to learn something. You don't have to pay anybody anything to learn something. It's all right there. And as I've been teaching myself for the last 30 years in that way. And either it started off in libraries and then it went from individuals that mentored me, art teachers and college professors that I was a wacko enough dude that they took me under their wings. I wasn't in their class, but I knew a lot of people and I would do things for them. Like I'd be the multimedia guy for a professor that did art history. And I put all of his stuff together for all the lectures he did. And so I literally I have probably the equivalent of at least a bachelor's degree in art history. I have probably the same equivalent in many other topics, history, archaeology. There's
Psychedelics.
That's the whole thing you got to do by yourself, Sam. And I do not strongly recommend it for the average person. I
You
don't
have to do it for
recommend.
yourself, huh? You have
I
to do
do
it for
not.
yourself.
I do not recommend the average person do that because the way I delineate humans is there's I've got it in like a 70-20 and two fives percentage. The 70% are the glue that hold culture together, and every doesn't matter what country, what time frame. 70% of them are the ones that have the babies, do the labor, and nose to the grindstone. They raise the next generation, and they're so valuable because if they weren't there, shit, we wouldn't be here. So the other 30%, which is divided into 20% and then two fives, the 20% are the people that I would say right now are people like us. We're past the breeding and the that stage where you're not aware of self. Like what was the word you used, Gordon, for self awareness?
Yeah, metacognition.
Metacognition. We are all in that state where we're aware enough of ourselves that we can improve, we can change, we can make changes on purpose. The 70% can't do that because they're stuck in the traffic of day to day. But the other
Mm.
two 5%, you got 5% that are saints and amazing spiritual and religious people, and then the other 5% are criminals and insane psychopaths, sociopaths, and that's how pretty much how I see the world divided. So 70% of the people are going to go along with whatever anyone tells us. The 20% of the people are the ones that are leading us into the evolutionary changes that are coming, and the 5% genius and the 5% psychopaths. The psychopaths are leading the world because they're the ones willing to kill and maim and lie and be expedient to get the position, whereas none of us are willing to do that. So they're usually the world leaders, and that's why we keep running through these same cycles of death and destruction. And like, look what's going on with our current government. It's like self-inflicted wounds. Anybody? Jesus, they're breaking down the entire supply chain of the world, and the whole world is going to go into a really weird ass time. It will rebuild and it will be cool, whatever it is. That's cool. It's not doom and gloom in my part, but it's
Mm.
going to change. But the holy people, the ones that we don't hang out with, the ones that are so transcendent, they live in love all the time. They live in that bridge between worlds where they can see this existence and this frequency, but they can also feel and see other frequencies. That would be like Jesus. That would be like all the major Buddha. They'd be the ones that have put their attention only on the other afterlife. So we're in a really interesting time right now, my friends. What I see is that it's for the first time in all of the last 10,000 years we actually have a chance to break that cycle of the authoritarian asshole that's running everything because we're
Mm.
all intelligent enough to go our own way.
Well, that's a pretty scary thought that because we've never at least here in the United States we've never been able to go that way. I mean, I think that like you, I do believe that there is something really going on, and I don't know about it necessarily being cyclical, but I do believe that yeah, this is a new level of some BS right now.
Yeah.
And it's right now. I think being aware, and this is where I say your spirit man's got to be ready to
Mm.
accept which way you're going to go, which direction you're going to choose, because you can sit back right now. We can have these great conversations, but then you can choose to do something on the opposite spectrum and pay for it on one side versus what we're talking about now,
Yeah.
or vice
Yeah.
versa. I mean, this is what it's all about. You care to go ahead and respond on that one, Gordon, at all?
Uh, no, I agree with everything. Honestly, what I was thinking about when Dave, you were talking about these cycles, is my financial mind came into play because there's this guy called Ray Dalio, and
I know who he is.
yeah, he talks about cycles, and he
Mhm.
recently has been talking about where we're in the same place that we were during the last Civil War, right before the Civil War, and so and he was talking about on a global level because of all the way that all the powers are, all the dynamics that are currently
Mhm.
going on right now. So it's interesting how all of that. I feel like it's all in sync. Like the if we go back to mind, body, and spirit, but then financial, I think of financial as being part of body because it's the material world,
Sure.
the tool that we use to trade to create the physical life that we have. And so it seems to all be in sync. It seems to all be like it's ready for something to change. And unfortunately, that in the past has always meant things like, you know, revolution has meant things like, death and things like that. And so hopefully, I'm not super hopeful that it's going to be a smooth transition, but we are who we are, where we are in our evolution. So,
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. I think this is the first time in all that last 10,000 years that we actually have a chance of not annihilating ourselves and tearing it down and burning it before we change it. And I think there's
Mm,
enough. What I say is, if you want to change the world, you start with yourself. And then if enough
mm,
people start changing themselves, like the three of us right now, we're throwing that ripple into the universe, this wonderful vibe that we create amongst ourselves here, and this open discussion with this, where our hearts are connected, where our minds are connected, where we're using technology to spread this word. Though they don't People don't have to hear the words, because the energy has been put into that space. It goes into the collective, and the more people like us they can throw their personal growth vibe, that keep compassion, keep it together, throw it into the collective. I think we have a chance of actually evolving past the rock in the river, which is what I call governments.
mm,
People are the river. The rock is the governments. When a river hits a rock, what does it do? It doesn't have to make any decisions. It just goes over it, around it, or through it, as the case may be. So I don't. I have no fear about what's coming. None. Zero. This
mm,
much. This much fear. I don't have any fear about it at all, because first of all, I know for a fact that I'm going to die. Done. I didn't want to break that to you guys all at once, but I'm going to die. And I want to
mm,
my one of my things I've been in my head since I was about 17 is I want to die well. I don't
mhm.
want to die like a dog in the street. I want to die not necessarily like a hero. I don't want to stand at the front of a brigade and take a bullet, but I do want to die on purpose. I want to be fully present for my death. I
mm,
want to sit there when I know I'm dying. Okay, I don't care if I didn't finish the last chapter in my memoir. I'm sitting down now and I'm dying. And I'm going to leave whatever's unfinished to this world, and whatever I'm leaving into, I don't know where I'm going. I have no hopes and I have no opinions for or against. I'm just going to be wide open, so that when I check out, when that energy spark that runs this 200 pounds of meat exits the body, I want to be completely and fully aware of what's going on,
mm,
because I think that's what happens. You can't Energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
Yeah.
So
mm,
don't tell me that whatever spark in this body, oh, you die, that's the end of it. Oh, there's nothing there. And then we've been every religion, every person, 8.5 billion people have their opinion about what happens when you die, and every one
mm,
of them's just as valid as the other one. We don't know. If the language works for you, that's good. So what I'm saying is, just understand that, and then write a good freaking story and
Mhm.
help
mm,
as many people along the way as you can, and make it a beautiful thing. When you look back on your life, you should not be saying, "Oh, I regret this and I should have done that and I should have." You should be looking back, and go, "Yeah, I did that twice. I broke that once. And, oh yeah, I really screwed up there." But you should be laughing your butt off about all the stuff you did. All the
yeah,
good things, all the bad things, everything is just experience, and that experience serves to give you your wisdom. And the older you get, the more experience you've had, I would dare say, just out on a limb here, I think it helps you garner more wisdom. So I
Mhm.
say keep evolving, keep trying things, keep failing, keep falling down, keep questioning, keep doing all that stuff that we do permanently because you never arrive. You never arrive.
There's nowhere to arrive.
No.
Yeah, I think that the our society's evolution to our next stage or whatever it is that we're gonna evolve into is it's already happening, and
I
I
agree.
say it's it's a generational thing, because like I look at my kids and kids in general that are younger, and I for the longest time I always had that traditional mindset of, they're soft, they're lazy, they're, all of this stuff. And it wasn't until, honestly, I had a conversation with this young lady who, I'm not old enough to be her dad, but she's quite a bit younger than I am. And we were talking about that. She's like, yeah, but you raised us. I was like, okay, let me look at this a little differently. Hold on. And so ever since then, I've tried proactively and intentionally to learn as much as I can from these kids, because
Uh,
they
the
got a
best
better, they have a
teachers.
better understanding of what's happening than I do. And
Mhm.
that's where the change is. I could do all I want, all I want, and all I can as a dad, but my kids and all the kids in this world are going to become what they are because of the world, not because
What
of me. Yeah,
of their environment, and
yeah,
also we've forgotten what the kids haven't forgotten yet.
yeah.
How to play, how to be curious, how to be dead blunt honest with someone, and not in a mean way. Just you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Innocently honest. Yeah.
innocently honest. Because I've blurted things out at times when I'm in mixed company, and I don't mean anything by it, but it's just an honest observation from me, and it offends language offends people. So I'm learning to curb my underground speech, as it were. I mean, I've my whole life I've been either a hillbilly or a musician or in some kind of dealing with people that really live on the earth. There's no niceties and no manners, and the fork isn't just right on the plate. And no, these are people that smell bad, fart, and have bad teeth. Those are my friends and relatives.
Mm,
Well, let me say this: another hour has came and went,
mm,
and I would say this is one of those conversations where you sit back and you start talking, and it just starts getting good right towards the end. What I saw and what I got just this last 2 to 3 minutes here was legacy. That's
Huh?
what I got. Legacy. Both of you, in your own way, sat back there and talked about how what you leave, the impressions that you leave upon this earth, how people see where you go and your legacy, where your mark is at on this earth. We talked about this several times more recently, Gordon, when I talked about your son. I said to me, the thing that you taught your son just on your own and how he has taken it and moved it and did his own program and and
Yeah.
and and, and that is legacy. I'm working on my house. I'm looking at. I might not have the best relationships with all of my daughters. I put them in my will, but this house and everything in it is part of their legacy. I'm
mhm,
leaving this for them, and it's one of those things where you get in touch with that spirit, man, and you put all your spirit into whatever it is that you're doing, and you pass that on to those individuals that you do come across that do need a piece of that spirit that you carry with you. So with that being said, we're going to end this session right here, and thank you all for showing up and for engaging with the conversation. This is our season 2 episode 20, uplifting our community, powered by Bridge Visions.